Hey guys, so today I figured I would go through the difference between a long tail keyword and a regular keyword. Being a high volume keyword. Um, so I get this question a lot, which is what is a long tail keyword? So a long tail keyword essentially is anything that is more than 3 words long. It tends to be something that's a little bit like this. So most users, I have the stats on my site here, but basically 70% of users use long tail keywords when they're searching something. And the common belief is that Google has query-based searches primarily, but that's not always the case. So, for instance, when was the last time that you went on Google and asked a question? Most of us are pretty good at knowing or identifying what we are looking for already. So it's basically high intent keywords that we want to be ranking for. And if you're ranking for query based keywords, then that's fine too. But your content needs to then speak to those query based keywords because you have a little bit of education to do with your users. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I'm going to go onto Google and talk about stuff, so as you can see, it's got my search history in here already. So if I was going to go SaaS agency, that would be a short tail keyword. So these SaaS agency is going to be a super high competitive keyword. Just because of the shortness of it, and a lot of it you can tack on variables and things onto it to make it higher intent. But essentially anything that's kind of like near where I'm on the West Coast, is going to likely come up for that keyword. So these guys have probably been doing SEO for a really long time, and they probably have a huge backlink network. So they're able to, over time, rank for that high density keyword. So if I wanted something that was a little bit more long tail, a little higher intent, then I would want to go in Seattle. So the in Seattle is something that we call a variable or a modifier. And essentially, I've typed in Seattle because the assumption is that I'm in Seattle. Now the Seattle agencies are going to come up. So this is what we would call a long tail keyword. This keyword is still going to be super highly competitive. So I wouldn't recommend going after this keyword right away. What we tend to do with our strategies is build a funnel so that you have the long tail keywords at the top of the funnel, and then you have the more densely populated keywords at the bottom of the funnel. So then as you quickly rank for the long tail keywords, you start ranking over time for the short tail high density keywords. And the longer you run the campaign, the better off you're going to be. So in theory. So we're going to look at some suggestions. Usually Google has related searches. So these are always, if you're doing your own keyword research and you're doing it for free, you don't have a tool. Google is a great tool in itself. So you have these suggested keyword related searches. And these are really great because this is pulled from common searches that are related to what you've just put in the search bar. So if you're struggling for ideas on keywords to rank for, these are a really good alternative. And sometimes these ones are not even going to be overly popular, which is good. So there are a couple of good free tools out there if you're doing your own keyword research. So the one that I've used before is WordStream. So I've used WordStream a couple of times. It's not bad. The numbers, if you're used to using keyword search tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs or SERPstat, they all do the same thing essentially, and they all pull from kind of the same place. So your numbers are going to be slightly different from depending on what tool you're using, but as long as the numbers are relatively similar, you should be fine. You don't doesn't matter. You don't have to like go and sign up for a whole bunch of different software just to kind of like get accurate numbers, because none of the numbers are going to be overly accurate. It just gives you an idea who's searching, who's not. If it's got some kind of volume to it, then you're on the right track. So the other thing that I wanted to quickly check is the analytics. So this is the analytics for one of my sites. And basically, I just wanted to show you, because Google did change the layout of this a little bit. So if you go into acquisition and then traffic, and then go down into referrals, this will bring up what I find is one of the most useful sort of pieces of information. There's lots of really good information in Google Analytics. Obviously, I use it a lot to compare with other analytics tools. But as you can see, you can tell immediately where your audience is coming from, and it tells you a bounce rate, which is essentially do users hit your website and then leave immediately? Because if they do, then the bounce rate would be about 100%. So the lower this number, the better. And then the next thing that you would want to look at is your average session duration. So this essentially tells you how long people are spending on your site at any given time. And I find that paid traffic spends less time on your site than organic traffic does, because paid traffic is essentially direct marketing, and organic traffic is going to be more sort of intent acquisition, where they're looking for you and now they found you and now they're checking out your site to make sure that is what they want. And if it's not what they want, then you're ranking for the wrong keywords, essentially. So yeah, so that's a quick kind of overview of some tips and tricks on difference between long tail keywords, short tail keywords, how to find them, and how to track what your traffic's doing. I will be offering more content in time, and I will be producing webinars and answering questions. So always happy to kind of go through this stuff. I can talk forever about it, honestly. So yeah, so keep in touch. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want the free SEO audit, go to my website. It's ekhocreative.ca. It's completely free, no strings attached. If you want to know what you're ranking for, I think that will give you a really clear overview, and you'll get a site audit done by me, and I will be going through your site like this on a loom, and basically telling you what you need to improve, what is good and what is bad about your setup. Not only the design, but also what I see in your source code too. All right. Well, have a good day, everybody.